We then get to Impact. Impact is one of the better Impact episodes I've seen. We have Rohit Raju with Shira versus Jake something. Rohit got help from Shira, and ultimately we got to get the win on Jake something. Jake something snapped and started beating the shit out of Shira, and Rohit just ran in and stood on the ramp and let his buddy/partner get the shit kicked out of him. So there's looking like there might be dissension between Rohit and Shira. And we'll see what happens next week on Impact. We then get Tenille Dashwood versus Kiera Hogan. Tenille tells Taylor Wilde backstage that she got a match, trying to show that she's worth it, and that if she beats Hogan here, it's evidence that Taylor Wilde and Tenille could beat the women's tag team champions with fire and flavor, and that they should pursue it. Taylor Wilde says, "I'm here to win singles gold. I'm not looking to win tag gold," things like that. Dash will win, but there was a post-match beatdown. Havoc did come out to help with Decay because at this point she was getting beat down. Tenille was by Fire and Flavor, Su Young, and I can't remember the other person's name. I think it was Deonna Purrazzo. So we got Havoc helping out. We have Decay helping out with Rosemary, and we got Taylor Wilde that came to her to assist her there. One of the things that I'm kind of glossed over, the reason that Taylor Wilde didn't want to be a tag team is because she didn't like the fact that Tenille and her manager cheated to get the win. But yeah, we'll see what happens from here. We then get Petey Williams versus VSK. This was a good back and forth, but ultimately the Canadian Destroyer, Petey Williams, did win the match. And it definitely shows that Petey Williams has stayed in shape from when he was on TNA Impact before. Anyone else remember, I think they called himself Imaginary Muscle or something like that, where he was tagging with Scott Steiner and looking like Scott Steiner? Yeah. Any case, but he won that match against VSK. We then get a backstage segment where Rich Swann was talking to the camera about W. Morrissey and his attack on Willie Mack. Morrissey came in and started beating the hell out of Rich Swann. They're definitely making W. Cassidy look like a beast, which WWE should have did from the beginning. So this is I'm very, very happy with what Impact is doing with Morrissey here. So I really hope that there's something more that comes out of this. Something Morrissey that comes out of this. Yes, I know that was bad. We got another Swinger Palace backstage segment, and this is one of the things I do not like at all. But there was a mention about TJP tagging with someone because Falaba was out. Falaba, was asking, is that can be his permanent tag team? And TJP's like, nah, man, you just weren't here. So I had to do what I had to do. Things like that. But ultimately, I do not like the Swinger backstage segment. That was a Decay teleport in, which I'm all good with Decay being hokey. I don't like Swinger's Palace, and I like Johnny Swinger. I think he's a funny character. I think the fact that he's trapped in the 80s is one of the funniest things that Impact's got going on. We then get in a Moose and Omega segment with where basically Moose was cutting a promo saying that he'd be able to take the belt from Omega. Omega comes out. The Good Brothers come out to try and defend against Moose possibly getting into a fight with Omega. And it's how Sami Callihan hacks and gets in the ring. I really hope this is setting up for Moose and Sami Callihan versus the Good Brothers. I think that'd be a good match for this week's coming up Impact. So if they were able to do that, I would have totally dug it. But ultimately, I do like the fact that Moose will more than likely unseat Omega from the Impact World title. I personally would like to see that happen. I think I can understand the partnership here and Kenny belt collecting, but at this point, if this is going to ultimately resolve in Moose being put over by Omega and then Moose being a dominant champion, I'm all for it. We then get a Ellering versus Jordan Grace match. Ellering and Jordan Grace are a tag team right now, but Jordan Grace got the match from Scott D'Amore, basically saying that showing the face Rachel Ellering to show whether or not she still has it. There's a very obvious redub from Matt Striker here. You could tell because the sound quality didn't match. At one point, it sounded like he had a headset mic, and then he went to a mic that's kind of like this setup, where you can kind of tell it's not the same mic. So I don't know what's going on with Impact Production, but that did not bode well for me. But Ellering won, and then Jordynne Grace walked off, basically showing down in herself. I think this is going to resolve into Ellering and Jordynne Grace splitting up as a tag team, and Jordynne Grace is going to turn heel because she feels like she has to cheat to win. We then get Finn Juice versus Ace Austin and Madman Fulton. Pretty good match here. Typically, you see in tag matches where a tag team will try to grab the smaller guy, weaken him down to the point, and kind of keep the big guy out of the ring. They did it at Flip. They kept on beating down on Madman Fulton, keeping Ace Austin out of the ring. But ultimately, Finn Juice won. It was a good match, and it definitely shows their abilities here. Even though I do like Ace Austin and Madman Fulton, it was the best thing that they should have done here with Finn Juice retaining. We then after the match, we get Violent by Design calling their shot, where now Doring and Rhino actually took the belts from Finn Juice. So now Impact's tag team champion is Violent by Design with Doring and Rhino. That was a good way to close it out, especially with Finn Juice going back to Japan, and now we have a tough tag team to contend with on Impact. Good Brothers are going to have to now deal with Violent by Design. Next, we have SmackDown. SmackDown is probably one of the best main roster WWE TV that they got going on. Except for this, I did not dig this. So they made the announcement that WWE is going back on the road and going to have full capacity crowds. They then lined up the champions on stage. We had Bianca, we had the tag team champions, we had the Intercontinental champion. Roman was missing. So at this point, Sonya Deville calls out Roman. Paul Heyman comes out with Roman's old music. They gotta stick with Roman's new music. Honestly, I think Roman's new music is better. And Heyman basically said that it's not a parade of champions because Roman wasn't there. It's a parade of titles and whatnot. Basically putting it down. We then had Bayley roll into the ring, cut her promo about how she was one of the best things that happened during the pandemic era, they refer to it as the Thunderdome era, and that Bayley was the rightful champion, that Bianca uses her hair as a weapon, that she stole the champion, that the Bianca should be stripped of the title and the title then given to Bayley. Because of that, Bianca walks down the ring, basically said you want to take it, you try to take it, things like that. We then get a Bayley triple threat match. We get a Bayley with Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler, not triple threat, 6-man tag. We get Bayley with Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler versus Bianca with Natalya and Tamina. At this point, Baszler made Natalya tap, so we basically have the old champions being the new champions because 50-50 booking. What else are they gonna do? I don't know. Maybe have Bianca pin Nia Jax or something like that. Either way, that was the end of the match. It wasn't a terrible one, but it's kind of what you would expect from WWE. We didn't get a backstage segment with Big E talking about why he's going to win the title, trying to keep the positivity going there. Kayla was the lady interviewing him with Big E, and he basically just kind of yelled empower positivity that he gets title back and whatnot. One of the things I noticed, because they did have Baron Corbin come out, and King Corbin, because he has a match with Nakamura. When he comes out at the beginning of his song, it really reminds me of the WWE Hall of Fame music. I could be very, very wrong there, but they sound very, very similar, and it's weird. It's very, very weird to hear. Nakamura ultimately won this match, and it's an example again of 50-50 booking because there was a distraction to Baron Corbin for the win. I don't get it. I don't get why WWE does 50-50 booking. I know you want to kind of look like anything can happen, but close matches are not bad. 50-50 booking is one of those where I don't necessarily agree with them. I do think anyone can lose at any point in time, but I think there's different ways to go about it. We then get Jimmy Uso backstage with Sonya, trying to say that him and his brother are going to tag team. They want to show that they are still the number one tag team on WWE, on SmackDown. And he basically gets Sonya to agree to a tag match against the Street Profits. She asked if Jay agreed, and he said, yeah, he's my brother, what have you. We then get a promo from KO for the Intercontinental title. He talks about, him being the prize fighter and whether or not he has to do X, Y, and Z. He's going to make it happen. One of the funniest lines is whether or not he has to powerbomb Sami Zayn to where he forgets the word conspiracy. He will get the title back. We then get a promo from Reigns, where basically one thing that I skipped over earlier in the night, there was a backstage segment with Reigns overhearing what happened with Jimmy. Okay, so Reigns' promo talks about him and the title and the Usos and Jey Uso being part of the group, bringing him back in as the Bloodline. Gets interrupted by Cesaro, and then at one point they ask for Jimmy to come out. Cesaro's music hits, so it's not his cousin, and basically Reigns asks why he was out there. Cesaro basically says he wants to have a match with him again at Hell in the Cell. At this point, Reigns said, well, no, I already beat you, and you're even one-handed. Cesaro said, 'tis but a flesh wound, which is a reference to Monty Python, and then gets attacked. First, he says he would fight Roman without any arms. He then gets attacked from behind by Seth. Seth beats him down. I will say Seth's clothes look ridiculous. I don't know what's going on there, but it seems like the suits he wears to programming look very, very funny. I don't know. I have nothing else to say that other than I think it looks ridiculous. We then get a Rude versus Dominic match. Dominic won. Basically, Rude was trying to say that Dominic didn't belong there and that Dominic was riding Rey Mysterio's coattails to make sure he got a job and was winning matches. Basically, all this was an enhancement talent. It was made to make Dominic look good. There were some botches here and there from Dominic where his running didn't seem like it was there. Even the 619 looked weird. But it'll come with time. He'll get better. We then get a Reigns and Jey Uso segment where he asked Jey about the match, and he said, we have a tag match, we can get the profits. And Reigns basically says, who's this we? It's not you and your brother, it's you and I. The tribal chief and the right-hand man. And hugs him. This is highlighting once again that this is a love triangle. It's usually done in the form of romantic love, but this is actually family love. Jey Uso is torn between right now Roman Reigns and Jimmy Uso, his cousin and his brother. I think this is going to completely devolve, and if they do the 1 versus 2, I would like to see it, honestly. Basically have Jey leave Roman's side and reform the Usos with Jimmy. We then get Sami Zayn backstage talking about a conspiracy for the tag titles. It was entertaining. Zayn has been very entertaining as a conspiracy character. He has definitely shown his ability to entertain and be more than just a face. He could be a heel and be a crazy heel at that. I definitely like this character. I like what they've done with him so far. This leads into the match where it's Zayn and KO and Cruz and Big E, a fatal 4-way match. There's a little bit of a back and forth. It looked like Big E was going to win, but General Aziz, that's the other thing. I forgot to mention that KO mentioned in the backstage segment that he's going to take Aziz's thumb and shove it straight up his Aziz to where he could taste the Nigerian spike. In any case, Aziz pulls him out, makes sure Big E didn't win. It gets dark. There's a fog. Aleister comes out. Apollo Crews holds Big E's leg, and then Big E catches a black mass to the face. And Apollo Crews wins, maintaining Intercontinental Champion. So, from the WWE storylines here, between Raw, SmackDown, and NXT, the ones I plan to follow are the Drew and Bobby Roode one, giving you guys updates on that. Maybe with Alexa Bliss. If the path keeps going the way it's going with the Women's Champion, I don't know if I'm really going to talk about that. I'm not a big fan of Flair. she's definitely talented, and I'll give her that. I'm just not a big fan of Flair at all. I'm also